Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode here on Talk Daily, where I'm gonna go off and talk about this really nice article from Car and Driver, and it's written by Tony Quiroga. Sorry if I mentioned his name correctly, but the point is, I'm just gonna use this article to basically talk about old cars. I'm old. Hey, I can talk about old cars. So why am I talking about old cars? And of course, this is an example of a 1955 300 SL Mercedes-Benz Gullwing. The reason I'm talking about old cars is what I'm trying to say is, should you hold on to your old car? Should you? Or should you not? Or should you throw it away? Now, this is a 1955, and this is basically looking at vintage old wine and saying, should I hold on to it? Oh, yes, you should absolutely hold on to this old car. This is the 300 SL. It was an expensive car when it was made, and it yet maintained to be an expensive car. I do believe in, if Bring a Trailer, if you don't know what that is, this website called Bring a Trailer, whatnot, and you can look at all these old cars and just, that's what I do. I spend my whole free time, if I have, and I'll be on the computer and just looking at all these wonderful cars. Example, they have their pristine cars. One of them was a 300 CL, which was sold for like a record-breaking, I don't know, insert amount of money. The point is, should you hold on to your old car? Now, the answer I would give you obviously depends on do you like your car? Do you have space for it? Because usually the one thing that will let people let go of their old cars is the space. Because believe it or not, that was a point where you can get these cars for fairly cheap. Again, I'm quoting from Jay Leno. If you see the video when Jay Leno was talking about his, I don't believe it. His car was already raced. I mean, it was like beat up, and I do understand that era has passed. Now information is so available that when you are finding an old car that you like, most likely everyone else already knows the value of it. So you're not going to find that bargain. I'm not talking about how to find these cars. I'm saying if you already have a car that's aging, is your car a collectible? Is it something you should keep? Or is it worth it? In long conclusion, I believe hold on to it, because when you sell it, it doesn't have much value. So that's my conclusion of it. It doesn't have to be only sport cars. It could be any other car, as long as it's in mint condition as far as the interior, right? I mean, as much as if it's as possible, if it's possible for everything to be stock, meaning you haven't altered any component, and definitely if it's not salvage title. If it's salvage title, get rid of it. Yep. Now, the 300 SL salvage, I'm pretty sure that won't matter. People will still keep that car. But I mean, if you already have a car from, if you already bought a car that's worth $1 million or $200,000-$300,000, then yeah, you already have a car that has value. I'm just talking about, your, I don't know, import car, your Toyota, your Honda, your Hyundai, some car that didn't cost you that much money, and should you hold on to it? So in conclusion, I think so. If you have the space for it, absolutely. Years going down the line, the cars will have value because we're going to electric. So now we're going to the new cusp. I do believe that in the 50s and the 60s, those cars were very valuable. People didn't value them because when the 70s came and the 80s, people kind of just said, oh, this is a 20-year-old car. It's a junker. We are kind of at that phase now. We're going to electric, and everybody jump on the bandwagon of electric, how amazing it is, and all the torque and the technology that's in it. And gasoline combustion cars are being, I don't want to say forgotten, but the attention is dulling away from it. Definitely manufacturers are not investing as much energy. As a matter of fact, a lot of them just simply said, oh, we're shifting all our engineering resources now onto electrical and battery technology. So these cars are being left behind. So I'm just making this video kind of a courtesy, letting you know that it's going to be a point where not my generation, the generation after me, we're going to grow up in all electric. They're going to look back at internal combustion cars and say, ooh, I want one. That's neat. And it's going to make that demand, 20, 30 years from now, there will be a demand for a 1994 Nissan 240SX. I mean, of course, there is a demand right now, but that demand is based on a hype. I'm talking about as far as collectible, like I'm going to pay real money for this. I want, what I mean by real money, I'm talking about, 20, 30, $40,000 for such a thing. Yes, there is a demand right now for RX-7 and Supras, that's for the Japanese domestic market. Yes, if you find an Alpina, of course, but I think that price only going to go up. So if you have one of these vehicles, I say hold on to it. If you have the space, hold on to it. Now, if you have the space. So and that's what I truly believe. Now, looking at these videos, they show how pretty these cars are, and they go into a special race. Again, this car club is exclusive, meaning, you either had money back then or you have money new. You either had old money or you have new money, because you're not gonna find, if you find this car like a 300 SL in some barn somewhere, good for you. There's also a show called Barn Finds. It's fantastic. I love watching that show. You find these cars. He drove in this article. He drove in Italy. I was just in Italy, and it's fantastic. Italy is just gorgeous, and small cars like this are. I even my generation, I wasn't able to get a hold of older car like this. I got really close to getting a really old Porsche, but that's as close I ever gotten. Before there were the 911, there was a 3 something, 315s, whatever. But yeah, that's as close I was able to get. I love these cars, the sheet metal, the way they are. So those cars are always gonna be classic. So I would definitely, there you go, the 356. There you go, that's the one. I think the 356 is a bigger engine, but I got closer to getting one of those. I don't think it was 356. I think the one was a little bit smaller engine, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I wanted to get that. But, back then, had a lot of ambition, not enough money. And he wasn't asking for that much. He was asking for like $8,000 for that car. But 8,000, go back 25 years ago, that was like, 20 years ago, that was like that was a lot of money for me. So I wasn't able to get it. But right now I would shell that money in a heartbeat, but that car is worth a lot more than that now. So again, that's before the whole internet and Facebook and all that, dude. That's but yeah, that was the end of that era. But right now, so if you have an older car and you think it's going to be worth something, I'd say if you have the space to store it, I say store it. And to know how to store a car correctly, again, there's a bunch of YouTube videos about that, but I tell you, the gist of it, basically drain fluids, or you just put fluid stabilizer, and just be careful how you put it. Don't put on jack stands, whatnot, and or when you put on jack stands, just make sure you do it properly. But cars are meant to be run, so storing them and not starting them up for 20-something years, I mean, every rubber thing is gonna dry out. I highly recommend at least just starting them up once in a while, just kind of get the oil to lubricate everything, because then all the gaskets, everything will go bad. But that's a different subject. But as far like, again, vintage cars, it will be vintage. Can you imagine like an RSX Type S? It will be vintage. 30 years from now, absolutely. So and I still think there'll be fuel. I don't think there'll be no fuel for you to drive these cars. It will be definitely fuel. And as far as the article was on talking about the drive in Italy, I'm just looking at you honestly, if you ever get the chance to go to Italy, it's wonderful. But as far as the drive, there's a lot of cars, very congested. But it's as beautiful as you think it is. It's really, truly beautiful. And another thing, they talk about like older cars. I had a chance to drive an older Mercedes. Well, none of these things, okay? It was I don't know what it was. It was made in the 60s, and it drives like a boat. I mean, it's don't not imagine these cars are gonna be like handling fantastic. If you don't believe me, there's a Top Gear episode, and forget when Jeremy Clarkson and James May and Richard Hammond they were driving like a bunch of old cars, and James May was driving a Civic Type R, and the rest of them were driving a like an older cars. And oh my god, that was the funniest episode, because it was just basically a lot of pain in the butt driving these cars. Transmission, double clutching, whatnot. They look pretty, but the drive, you need to be a driver, and to be involved, and to be perfect, because the car just doesn't take any prisoners. That might be appealing to some people, the others it might be not. Cars right now are most definitely easier to drive, and that's what I'm saying. The end, like, to me, the 2000s, the late 90s, 2000, and beginning of 2000, those cars are definitely going to be the peak of the gasoline combustion engine. Just because right now no one is investing anymore. Like, if you look at the newest Type R just came out, it's so refined. You can drive it every day, and it has so much performance. That car will blow the doors off of the Mercedes. No questions asked. But again, we're talking about value and status, and again, collectability. What I think is Civic Type R will be collectible. So yes, I think if you buy one of those cars and you know what car you're buying, if you buy like a vehicle that's limited in production, and it's you don't buy Civic Type R by accident. Again, I'm repeating Civic Type R, but like an RX-7, things like that, hold on to them, because I do think they will maintain their value. Now, Look how happy he is in these cars. Look at these cars again. I mean, this the steering wheel, by the way, just tilts upward like that. Again, I think it's very neat. I personally like, for example, these cars. I look at a Miata, and I think a Miata just fits this, like the first gen Miata. You could see they copied a lot of the British things in it, and I think it's fantastic. So in conclusion, if you have the space, hold on to your older car. It's I mean, as far as junking it, of course. I mean, if you don't have the place to keep it, but hold on to it. I think it's if you have the space, I would definitely say yes. It's easy to say yes to hold on to it when you have the space, but obviously, if you need the money, it is what it is. But honestly, older cars like that, if your car is worth like 6 G's and whatnot, and I don't know, I would think that again, if it's like a junker, then yeah, absolutely, or like just a 4-door, whatever family sedan, nah. But if it's like a sport car or like an SUV, hey, like a Bronco, of course, right? That's definitely a collectible. So anyway, just my thought of the matter. I just want to make it like a little bit different video and just kind of give you a little bit of my what's inside of my brains when I look at cars, what I think about them. I look at cars like purpose and why they're made and how good they do what they're supposed to do, and I like that engineering aspect of it, what the internal of it, and definitely older cars you could see kind of through it much easier than with modern cars, because modern cars they kind of deceive you. They're good at almost everything, so you don't know, okay, why do you make that? You look at an SUV and it handles better than a sport car from the 90s, like a brand new SUV. Like I made a video the other day about the MDX and how well the vehicle handle. No, the RDX, excuse me. And, it has that super handling all-wheel drive, and it does 0.8 something, 86 Gs. That's very respectable for a big SUV that weighs 4,000 pounds. So, it has to do, of course, with tire technology, suspension, whatnot, and that takes into effect. But older cars, they're not going to perform as good as a modern car. But an older car, you can... Like, this car, there's no doubt in your mind that this car does one thing: go fast. For technology of 1955, and again, it's a beautiful car, and there's no airbag, there is no ABS, there is no power windows, there's no bumper. I mean, no crash, anything. You are the crash crumble zone. That's part of you. But pay attention to the road, don't crash. I kind of like the mentality. Just pay attention to the road. Of course, accidents will happen. So, taking that from aside, cars definitely are safer now. So, if you have an older car that you like, I say hold on to it. If you have a bunch of them, I mean, at that point, you obviously don't need my advice. You already know what you're doing. But if you have this one older car, I say hold on to it. See, if you have the space, I say hold on to them, especially if they're unique, like a Datsun or like if Nissan, the Z. Again, no, I don't think if it's super mass production car. Like again, I use a Miata as an example. Miata is one of those cars you think, oh, it'll be a collectible, but then when you look at it, it's a million made. I would say hold on to it if yours is like in a very good condition, because no, they're gonna go up in value. Eventually, people are gonna crash and people are gonna throw them away, and you're gonna be the only one that still has it. And again, but you have to look at the storage fees and how long it takes. The money is gonna be accumulated from that. So if you have the privilege of having the space, keep the car. I would say definitely keep it. And so anyways, let me know what you think. I'm very interested in your comment. What do you think? Should you hold on to them or throw them away? You think they do more harm to the environment maybe? Or do you think that it's just a complete waste of money and you might as well use the money in Bitcoins or something, Let me know. Again, I just can't take my eyes off this car. It's so pretty. Cars back then, definitely back then, I mean the 60s, early 60s, they looked fantastic. Now, they didn't drive as good as I look, but they look fantastic. To me, I think the best thing I would do, which is sacrilegious, is take a car that kind of has this style of body and I'll put modern internals in it, like the Jensen Interceptor. Again, that's some Top Gear, and they had put I think what they put in it, a V8. I think they put a V8 in it, like Chevy small block V8 in it, and remodernized it and redid the wiring harness. That's a joy. Like an E-Type, a Jaguar E-Type, same thing. I kind of like that. I like the older style with modern technology in it. I do want ABS. I've driven cars without ABS, and even on the track, you ruin your tires, man. You just lock up, and then you have the one flat spot on your wheel, and that just ruins the whole race. And you just there you go. There goes one tire. I like ABS. It is what it is. I love ABS, so I need ABS, especially for daily driving. I think ABS is fantastic. Now, I'm not saying this car without ABS is not fun to drive. I'm just saying in general. But anyways, yeah, let me know what you think in comments below. It'll be very interesting to know what you think. What's a collectible? What's not a collectible? What will be a collectible? Because it'd be interesting to know. Anyways, as always, drive safe, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.